This is the third and final episode of the series of my videos. It's a series that takes a deep look at off things that make you go, huh? This is also my last video done in Grade A Under A style, as the man himself is back on YouTube and re-uploading again. Great to have you back, mate. Lastly, I'm trying my best to make this video shorter than I really want it to be, cause I really want to move on to working on my own videos in my own style. But depending on the video length that I do not know until I finish it, this video may be longer than I want it to be. And that's because I'm trying to avoid backlash from the Hollow Knight cult by making my arguments as sound as possible. Anyway, on to the video!
Yo.
I'm assuming we've all heard of the popular indie video game Hollow Knight, correct? If not, here's a summary. It sucks. Okay, but for real, this game is a Metroidvania made by a bunch of Aussies down under, and it's really, really popular and well received. So well received that they made like 4 free DLCs for the game and are releasing a sequel to it coming out sometime near 2050. I first got into the game right around the end of 2021. I just beat Metroid Dread, and having loved it, asked my friend Dave, yes, the same Dave that this guy is based on, what other Metroidvanias I should try. He said, "Oh, you should give Hollow Knight a go. It's an amazing Metroidvania and one of my favorite games, period." So I decided to take his word for it and got myself a physical copy of the game from Fangamer. Also, quick tangent, Fangamer, why did you not allow me to post my review for the Conker plush I got? I am grateful that you sent me another plush after the voice box for the first one died within 2 days, and then refunded my money after the second one's voice box died. But shouldn't I be able to also make a review on it so other customers know this happened to me? It's almost like they don't want their customers to know that the voice box for this plush is as busted as Biden's brain cells. Anyway, back to Hollow Knight. So I got the game for Christmas 2021, played it for a couple of hours, and I started to get into it. This game is pretty good. I can't wait to play more of it.
1 day later.
Wow, this game sucks. So I played it, beat it, experienced 40 hours of hell in it, and finally wrote my negative review on it.
Negative review? You gave it an 8 out of 10. That is far from negative.
Okay, but that 8 was for all the good stuff, and I was also worried that if I gave it an any lower score, that I would be beaten up by a bunch of insect incels. Also, having replayed about 4 hours of the game again for this review, I feel like my score is nearer to a 7 now. And I had to stop with my replay because I was getting so aggravated and upset with the game. I think I moved on to like the first Uncharted game, which was absolute garbage. Anyway, that's a summary of my personal experience with the game. The rest of the video is where I will be going over the positives and negatives that this game has.
Rap snitches, telling all their business, sit in the court and be their own star witness.
I will be the first one to admit that this game has a lot, and I mean a lot of good stuff going for it. First off is the graphics. Mwah, just beautiful graphics. Beautiful. One of the best looking indie games out there, just amazing graphics. Second is the atmosphere. Absolutely fantastic. I hate to quote IGN here, but it definitely makes you feel like you're a bug in a forgotten underground country. Third is the music. Pretty nice soundtrack here. Standouts include Green Path, Hornet's Theme, and of course, City of Tears. Is it a top tier soundtrack? No. I mean, have you played Undertale? Come on, so many games have a better soundtrack than Hollow Knight. That's not a hit on it though, just a fact. Next up, we have the characters. Very, very memorable and well-designed characters. I'm not gonna say who the best one is though, but that they are all very unique and fit the world well. Next is the fast travel, something gameplay-wise that this game does right. There are 2 ways to fast travel. One is the Stag Station, which is your average fast travel, and the other is the Dream Nail Teleport. The Dream Nail Teleport lets you set a spot anywhere you want on the map where you can automatically teleport to whenever you want. You don't get this ability till late in the game though. I honestly wish you got it earlier because of how much the trek back to boss battles suck, but I'll talk about that later. Lastly is the overall sense of progression in the game. I admit that even though I think this game sucks, it is still fun to find new places, items, and people. Except when you enter an area you got too early to without the game telling you and lose all your money to an overpowered enemy. which proceeds to me grabbing the TV and chucking it out the window to the nearest object. Anyway, that's all the positives I could think of, which is more than I thought I could come up with. Anywho, all you bug thugs watching this better prepare yourself for the next part of this vid where I completely crap all over your favorite insect title. I mean, if you're still here and haven't just typed get good in the comments and then spent the rest of your afternoon talking to your Discord kittens and cutting yourself for every day Silk Song isn't released yet.
Tight profile low, like 8 and paid in full. Attract heavy cash, cause the game's centrifugal, Mr.
Okay, here comes the part you guys all came here to see. Let's go! Number 1, slow movement. Your character is a bug, but he might as well be a slug. Your movement is so freaking slow, it takes forever to get anywhere. And don't say the dash helps. Instead of just pushing left or right on the D-pad, I now have to spam ZR over and over again. How fun. And the Crystal Heart upgrade does help sometimes, but for backtracking and traversing, it's not perfect. And it's another upgrade you only get when you're halfway through the game. So yeah, not helpful. The fast travel does combat this issue, but would the game be ruined if the character were just 30 to 50% times faster? Perhaps so, considering the whole game is made around the movement being a key gameplay mechanic, but you're still so slow. And speaking of slow, number 2, the health system is so sluggish and unfair with its mechanic. Tackling the first part, healing takes a long time in this game. And I'd be upset with that on its own, but the bigger issue that draws from it is when you need to heal during boss battles. It's insane. You literally need to have perfect timing every time just to not get hit while trying to heal. And this is what makes the boss battles so freaking hard! Not the fast moves or attacks they have, but the timing you need to have to heal in order to not get 360 no-scope by Broken Vessel. And to make matters worse for the player, guess what happens if you get interrupted during the healing process? Do you keep the soul you were using to heal? Does your hit point get halfway filled up? Nope! You lose the soul. Let me get that straight for you. You lose the soul. Why? This is such a cruel and unneeded mechanic that only makes the game harder for no reason. I got the soul. I was using the soul. But because I was interrupted and had to move because of an enemy or a fast as crap boss was trying to kill me, the soul is now lost and I have to get more.
They don't hit the Pentagon!
I'm sure whatever HoloFollow YouTuber reacting to this vid right now is currently trying to justify it, but good luck not trying to sound like a 300-pound Reddit mod doing it. Number 3, the map. The main issue I have with the map is that it's just lamely designed. And because of this, you don't really know where some specific areas are. And it could have looked a lot better. Just look at the official artwork of the map. Tell me, if you're a Hollow Knight fan, would you prefer something like this as the game map? Or this? Also, having to sacrifice a charm slot just to see where you are on the map is retarded. Every other Metroidvania automatically has that. Making this game force you to equip it makes it a black sheep. And speaking of the charm system, number 4, the charm system sucks. I'm not going to go in detail here, I'll just say this. Charms are hard to find or are very expensive. Most of them you'll never use anyway. Some like the soul speed and capacity increases and Wayward Compass would have been better off as permanent upgrades. What else? Oh yeah, you aren't taught that overcharming is a thing, and even if you do it, having to give you 2 hit points in exchange makes it an utterly impractical mechanic. Let's move on. Next up is one complaint that was a huge issue with me for the game. Number 5. Too few benches too far away from boss battles. This right here is what drove me up the wall in my playthroughs. It's bad enough that when I die, I lose 1/3 of my soul capacity and all my money till I fight my shade and get it back. But the fact that I have to walk all the way back to the boss room every time I die? And the thing is, there's no need for this. Like, zero need. And maybe you could say that it's fine because the benches are usually quite close to the boss rooms, except for the fact they're not. I, and 99% of most players, always want to enter a boss room with max health and maybe max soul, but totally max health. But this is really hard to do when I have to travel across several rooms of enemies in order to fight the boss again. Why? And don't you dare tell me not having this feature in the game would ruin it. Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS spawns you right outside the boss room with the exact same health you had when you entered it whenever you die, and it plays perfectly. In fact, I think that's how all boss battles should be, regardless of game genres. If I have to do an annoying trek all the way back to a boss battle every time I die just to try it again, the likelihood is that I'm not going to choose to try it again. Dying already sucks in this game. Don't punish the player more. Oh, and speaking of dying. Number 6, losing all your money by dying twice. Oh, if you thought the previous game mechanic was unnecessarily retarded, just wait till you hear about this one. When you die, you lose 1/3 of your soul capacity and all your money. That's right, all your money. Now, you can get it all back, but if you die once while on that trek, that money is permanently gone. Forever. What? How much money you had doesn't matter. You could have had 10 Geo or 10 million and you could lose it all by dying before getting your shade back. Uh-oh, but thank goodness for the bank though. The bank lady keeps your money nice and safe for you. Just make sure not to give her more than 2,500 Geo. Or she'll steal all your money and you'll have to find her to get it back. Which then makes the bank non-existent and you'll be no better off than when you started off before. Truly, the absolute peakness of game design. Who needs fair and understandable mechanics for keeping money when you can just have one retarded mechanic and have a bunch of faggots on Reddit defend it with the most BS logic you've ever heard? No offense, Hollow Knight fans. One defense I have heard is that you should just keep all the artifacts you find during your journey and sell them for when you need money. Then what's the point of collecting Geo, and why does it seem like everything in this game is telling you that's what you should keep for money? Pure retardation, mate. Just pure retardation. Another thing I don't like is that the blind player learns about this mechanic the hard way, but that doesn't surprise me at this point. Look, it's not that I want hand-holding. I just don't want to be smacked in the face! Anyway, I have a few more negative critiques that I'm just gonna speed through at this point for time's sake. Number 7, the damage animation is distracting and annoying whenever you get hit. It should have been smaller so I can still see what's happening on the screen. Number 8, there's too much knockback. It gets annoying having to always move forward because I'm jolted back whenever I hit an enemy. This especially sucks for bosses. Number 9, the nail is so stinking small. This is another one of those things that should have been upgraded to be longer instead of having to sacrifice a charm slot for it. Number 10, lots of backtracking. Look, I love Metroidvanias, but I have to agree that Hollow Knight has a wicked amount of backtracking in it. This is not helped by the amount of practically useless and empty rooms you have to go through just to get to places. It feels like they're just padding for game length. And for the final point, number 11, there are blind jumps in the game even when you look down. This doesn't occur a lot, but when it does, it just annoys you. I go to an edge. I look down. It looks safe. I jump down. I get impaled by spikes I couldn't see. Wonderful. Anyway, that's all the negatives I could think of for the game. One thing that is up in the air for this game are the bosses. They're really mixed in quality, but are all worsened by the bad combat and healing mechanics. Okay, now I am done critiquing this game. But before I go, there is one more negative I have to address involving this game. And yet, it doesn't have anything to do with stuff in it. Here's my last negative point.
Fools dare care. Everybody wanna rule the world with tears for fear.
What is wrong with you people? The fan base of Hollow Knight has to be one of the biggest, most arrogant groups of video game fans I've ever seen. And the main problem surrounding them is this. There cannot be one bad thing said about their god. And this isn't only on the subreddit. Tons of other forums on other websites have these Hollow Knight cultists too. If you even dare to make a post about not enjoying the game, your argument will be torn apart for the minimalist of inconsistencies or just flat out ignored, and you'll be called a terrible gamer and told to get good. I've seen this done to people who've played and loved the Dark Souls series but couldn't get into Hollow Knight. People who love Metroidvanias but couldn't get into Hollow Knight. People who love indies in general but couldn't get into Hollow Knight. Apparently, the accusations are that all these people A, don't understand Hollow Knight or played it wrong, B, are just bad gamers in general because it couldn't possibly be the game's fault that they don't enjoy it. Or C, should just give up on video games because if you don't accept Hollow Knight as the holy grail of gaming, you are a complete disgrace to the world. To that, I'll just say this to the fans. Dear fans, grow up! Not a single thing in this world is beyond criticism. I'm not, you're not, and an indie game is most certainly not. As an example, 3 of the greatest video games I've ever played are Super Metroid, The Messenger, and Rayman Legends. And I am fine, listen to me, completely fine if someone hates 1, 2, or all 3 of those games. In fact, I'm happy for them. That just tells me that they're their own individual with their own taste as much as I'm mine with my own tastes. So why can I accept it, but the bug huggers can't? I honestly don't know. It's weird, really. I can go on forums discussing Metroid, Metal Gear, and other games too, and the fans there are completely okay and not aggressively defensive if someone blasphemes their favorite game. They understand that people are people. They're all unique, each with their own taste, and that there is not one game that is universally praised by everyone in the world as perfect or even good. I'll admit though, the type of over-defensiveness that Hollow Knight fans have for their game isn't exclusive to them. I've seen Mario, Zelda, and especially Dark Souls fans using the same excessive defensiveness for any criticism for their games. But personally, Hollow Knight definitely takes a cake for most overly defensive game community I've ever encountered. My message to them is this: accept people for their tastes. Some people hate sushi, some people hate Batman, some people hate Garfield, some people hate The Matrix, and some people hate Hollow Knight. And I am one of those people and unapologetic about it. To quote the famous Nintendo YouTuber Arlo on this one, there should be no limit to our hate. Let's end this video.
You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. Crazy, man. I'm just analyzing this whole game. It's just bugged out.
In the end, if you like Hollow Knight, I don't hate you. In fact, I'm happy that we have different tastes. You like the game for a list of reasons, and I dislike the game for a different list of reasons, and that's okay. And before I leave, if anyone is still wanting to attack me for hating on this game, there is one other big-time YouTuber you should attack first. You all know and love him, the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Huh? What are you talking about?
What I'm saying is that AVGN reviews games that are trash, right? Well, I've recently been binge-watching him a lot, and I've realized something. A lot of the mechanics he hates in those games, that people agree are stupid, are also still present in modern games too. One is having to walk all the way back through a level, or part of a level, just to get another go at a boss again. A lot of people hated when old games did this, calling it monotonous and annoying. But apparently, when an indie game from 2017 does this, it's seen as totally okay and not a big deal. It's almost like there's a double standard when it comes to Hollow Knight. Just food for thought, I'm not going to be delving into this. I will say one thing though, if you, the viewer of this video, disagreed with all of my points on why Hollow Knight sucks, I implore you to try one of the old NES games that AVGN has reviewed before. They have similar game mechanics to Hollow Knight that, according to your eyes, are completely okay and does not bring the experience down. Anyhow, as I already said, this will be my last grade A under A fan video I'll ever make because the big chin daddy himself has returned again. I'm moving on to making some storytime animations like Bruce Stu does, with the first one being called School Roof. Please look forward to that soon, and remember, I love you all. Mwah! Peace!